Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at the Ruike P865-Q. This is a very cool little knife, and this was sent to the channel by Old Tonto Guy. So if you see him in the comments, tell him thank you. It's because of him that we get to take a look at this knife. This is not one that I would pick up by myself, and I really appreciate it. He does a lot for the channel. He's awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get this review going with a blade length measurement. This knife has a pretty long blade. So, sharpened edge, we're coming in just shy of 3.5 inches. If we measure the entire blade, we're just a little bit over 3.5 inches. So this is a long, slender knife, which kind of makes it feel small and big at the same time. Let's bring out our size comparisons. Here's our Rat 1. So yeah, in terms of overall length, we're very close to the Rat 1. And here's our Rat 2. Again, it's a long, narrow knife, but it doesn't feel huge because it's not. It's very skinny. Let's bring out our Civivis. Here is the Praxis, and here's our Elementum. Once again, a little slimmer than both of those. Let's go ahead and bring out our USA made comparisons. There's the PM2. And here's the Bug Out. A lot of blue on the table. I like it. I like it. Blue is my favorite color. So whenever we've got a bunch of blue knives on the table, I'm happy. Anything else that we want to compare it against? I don't really think so. What are we looking at for our materials? Well, we have this really aggressive Wharncliffe blade of 14C 28N, which is awesome. We have multicolor G10 scales. This is a steel liner lock with a steel pocket clip, and this is running on washers with a thumb stud deployment. Let's go ahead and go cut some stuff. Alrighty, guys. Let's take a look at the Ruike P865-Q. It says it on the blade. Very interesting knife. This is a knife that's not really my style. I'm not typically a fan of these long, slim Wharncliffe blades, but I really enjoyed carrying this one. This one is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and start up with that action. This is running on washers, and it is just deliciously smooth. Single thumb stud, not going to be a super fidgety knife, and this is a knife that is very, very anti-lefty. I am really sorry, guys. Single thumb stud, non-reversible pocket clip. If you're a lefty, I guess, you can reverse flick it, but that thumb stud's actually a little bit painful on the reverse flick. It is a star-shaped stud. For just the normal thumb flick, though, really, really nice. Comes out of there with some power. Very smooth, controlled washer action. I love that kind of action. I talked about that when I did the review cutting for the steel wheel sedge just a little bit ago. And that is my favorite kind of pocket knife action. Might be different for you. For me, I absolutely love it. If you like washers, you will love how this feels. So, great stuff there. Let's go ahead and talk about the ergos. It's very simple. You grab it, it fits into your hand. The scales are interesting because they're contoured and they're kind of a triangle in cross section. They kind of come up to this peak here. And I find them to be really, really nice in the hand. The pocket clip does not really get in the way that much. This is a knife that's on the longer side. So if you have bigger hands, I think you'll still have a lot of room on this knife, which is very, very nice. All right, let's go ahead and talk about how it carries. It folds up into a very compact package. It's a pretty lightweight knife. I don't think, the weight or the size of it's going to bother anyone. The pocket clip works pretty well. That knife tucks into the back of your pocket very, very nicely. Yeah, great clip. It does not have recessed screws, but the clip is recessed, and honestly, it works. Tension's really nice, so I can't complain all that much. All right, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. Let's start off with some cardboard. Got this piece right here we'll just continue using. Yeah, this thing's basically like a big old claw. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that with some utility cuts. Wow. Ouch. That was my fault. Great utility cutter. Again, with that claw action, you know, you can get stuff like that. Makes you feel like a baryonyx or something. Some Spinosaur with a big old claw in his hand. Let's do the rope pull. Felt great. I don't think it's going to do too great here. Yeah, that last cut was actually a little bit better than I was expecting, but yeah, straight edges just typically don't give you a whole lot of power pushing down. So that's not a knock on this knife. It's just something that Wharncliffes aren't good at. So yeah, wasn't the best at the rope, but I was expecting that. All right, let's get the pool noodle out here. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that felt good. That felt real good. Very consistent. This one was a little bit fat on one side from our last knife that we cut with. This one sliced very nicely, and this one I was able to go pretty darn thin. So definitely a very acute edge, a very precise blade. This is a knife that you can really have some fine control over. And by the way, I just love these blue and black scales. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the table. And we're back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. First of all, I think this is a very striking knife design. This is not my favorite aesthetic. I don't really like long, skinny knives all that much, but this knife does have a lot of personality. I really like the shape of the blade. Focus up, camera. It is a Wharncliffe, but I kind of like how, I don't know, I just kind of like the way it's clipped off right there. I do really like these blue and black G10 scales. I'm a sucker for blue, so that's awesome. And the thumb stud I think looks really neat. The way it's faceted almost makes it look like it's jeweled. And so, you know, if it catches the light just right, yeah, it gives off a nice little sparkle. All of that is pretty awesome. In addition, we only have 2 screws on the entire knife. So that helps keep it looking clean and sleek and kind of gentlemanly in a way. So yeah, I do kind of dig the look of this knife. To be honest, this knife reminds me of the Cold Steel Frenzy. In fact, I think this would be an excellent companion to the Cold Steel Frenzy. They're both long Wharncliffes. The Frenzy comes in the blue and black variation. So yeah, I think they'd make great companion pieces to each other. I think that's really cool. All right, next thing I like is this is a performer in a lot of ways. Number one, the ergonomics. This thing is completely neutral. Like that handle, it's just a stick, right? So no matter what size hands you have, I don't know why the camera's having a hard time focusing on this knife today. No matter what size hands you have, or, you know, what your preferences for grip are, this gives you lots and lots of options. I mean, look how much room I've got on there. You can get, yeah, you can get a lot of fingers on here. In addition, these scales, they're not exactly contoured, but you can see here, they have kind of this diamond-shaped cross-section. Get that out of here. Which I think is really interesting. It does give the knife a very unique feeling in hand. It just kind of helps it fill out your hand a little bit more. So even though it's a very, you know, narrow, slender grip, it still has a certain degree of hand fillingness. And I like that a whole lot. And the handle does complement the blade, both in terms of ergonomics and in terms of style. And this blade is actually really cool. It's a very long Wharncliffe, and the way the handle, you can see here the handle kind of like curves into it, so you almost get a little bit of a tilt to the entire knife. And so if you're making long cuts through cardboard, yeah, you can really get some powerful slices. You've got all kinds of edge, so you can reach I mean, gosh, you can even choke back here, and you can really extend your reach with this knife considerably. It is a full flat ground blade. I love full flat grinds. I think that was a good choice on this. That full flat grind means you have excellent slicing geometry, but also you maintain a little bit of durability towards that tip or towards that edge. And that edge is incredibly thin. Incredibly thin. I'm also going to move this box of shotgun shells. I filmed a video earlier today, and we weren't having any focusing issues, but I'm not sure what's going on today. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at that edge. Very thin and precise, and I know it's a hard thing to zoom in on, but because it's a flat grind, you do get a little bit of strength there. 14C28N, wonderful steel. I think everyone pretty much loves that steel. It also brings a degree of toughness to the blade, so you know this is not a hard use knife. It's got very thin geometry, but that 14C is going to help a little bit to resist damage. And the blade itself is super useful. You already talked about like slicing, the reach. Obviously, utility cuts are really good. This knife does feel like just a claw. You know, you can start raking and scratching at things. Again, like Wharncliffes are not my go-to, just in terms of aesthetic and in terms of use. But I must admit, you know, this is a great knife for a lot of people. This is not a knife that I would use on the ranch or in the field at all. It's a little, you know, dainty. I do not like Wharncliffes when I'm choosing a field knife because I think Wharncliffes are very limiting. A drop point gives you a lot more versatility. But this is a great knife for just day-to-day EDC. I carry this a lot at work, at the museum, carry this around to classes and stuff. This is a great just day-to-day knife. So that's great, right? It works very, very well. It's lightweight, it's easy to carry. Pocket clip here works pretty well. It is not reversible, unfortunately. Sorry, lefties. But the clip does work pretty nicely. Fit and finish on this was good. Centering is really nice. The thumb stud. I really like the way the thumb stud feels. It grips your thumb, and man, that action really pops. Again, this is on washers, but man, it's got a beautiful, beautiful action. Great detent, and look at that glide. Oh, I love washer actions. We need more knives with washers. Oh, but it's so good. It's just, and it's so no nonsense. You pull this knife out of your pocket, your thumb finds a flipper tab, and it shoots that blade out, and you're ready to rock and roll. Access to the liner is great. Push that over. Yeah. Now, there is just the one thumb stud to open this knife with, and we'll talk about that later. Honestly, I'm okay with it because as far as using the knife goes, that thumb stud deploys it effortlessly. So it's not a huge deal to me at all. We already talked about like the minimal hardware. I like that a whole lot. Taking this knife apart should not be an issue at all. Full length backspacer. I love full length backspacers. They're just so classy to me. They help the knife feel really high quality. And in terms of ergonomics, you notice it, right? You notice that there's not just a gap back here. You know, your fingers have a little something to rest on. Your palm has something to sit on. It just feels nice. I love full backspacers. Yeah, you know, they might make things more difficult if you're like cleaning out your knife. You might get more lint in there and stuff, but you know, just blow it out every once in a while. I think you'll be fine. The liners, you can see here, are countersunk into the scales. Again, that helps with the comfort in hand, but also just, it's kind of a premium feel. Feels nice and classy, so I'm a big fan of that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some negatives. First negative is I don't really like the finish on the blade here. It is a bead blast, and this one is dirty, and that might even be a little bit of rust there. Bead blasts do that. They lead to rust. They take, like, these are glue. This is glue residue on here, but bead blast 2 will just start looking streaky and splotchy over time, which I'm not a big fan of. The liner here, see how far over that is? It's a secure lockup, but that liner is really, really thin. Is that an issue? I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it. And this is a light duty knife, so you know you're not going to be, hopefully, putting this through extreme tasks. But I did just feel like the liner was very thin. And it was just something I worried about. Or not worried about, but it was something that crossed my mind. Pocket clip is not reversible. That is a shame. I do wish that they had put flat screws there, but they don't really impede the pocket clip in and out of the pocket, so I honestly can't complain that much. People might be turned off by the single stud deployment. If you're turned off, I understand. For me, it's not a big deal, but I do understand some people might not like that. Maybe they could have made this into a front flipper or something. I don't know. Again, I don't mind it, but it might be something that you don't like. And honestly, those are kind of my only complaints. So let's go ahead and move on to my final conclusions. Final conclusions is, yeah, this is a winner. This is a home run. Ruike, which I've been told that's how that's pronounced. They make very simple knives. They make them well. They make them very purpose-driven. They're just classy tools, and I like that a whole lot. One thing I could have mentioned about the blade that I forgot is that the sharpening choil is actually pretty nice. They give you a couple of sharpenings there. This knife just performs really well. I was very happy carrying it. Again, this is not a heavy-duty knife. This is a basic EDC knife, but I don't really think anyone needs to be told that. Honestly, my nitpicks with it aren't really huge issues at all. Maybe, you know, the liner thing could become an issue, but I really don't think so. I mean, it feels like it's, you know, a very well-sprung liner. I just thought it was funny how thin it was. You can get this in a all black version. I think these go for, they're right in that $45 price range, depending on where you get them from. I think that's a great price. 14C, G10. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. If you're interested in this knife, yeah, I can recommend it 100%. Again, I'm not someone who's real big on these slim Wharncliffes, but I really enjoy this knife. I enjoyed carrying it. I think it's a highly recommendable choice. And if you're interested in it, you will definitely enjoy it. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to my channel members. They are here on screen. These are my members at the cowboy level. If you want to be a member, you can join at the button below. It's a whole lot of fun over there. We do giveaways and all kinds of cool stuff. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.